Hello and welcome everybody. In this tutorial I want to show you how to set up additional action bars. So I've dug out my Druid for this tutorial because the Druid was actually one of the hardest ones to get right. And as you can see in the bottom, we have the stances and we have a couple of hotkeys and the keys are called C1 and A1 and stuff like that. That's because these action bars are basically the normal ones. So this is like a row on your keyboard, except it only goes to 5 and then it goes to other keys. And then we have the same keys with Shift, with Control, and then with Alt. This will overall give you a lot more keys to play with, especially for Druids, because you have like different shapes and you have like all sorts of spells that you can use either from any form or only, for example, in the bear form, like with the Iron Fur. I usually play Restoration in this Druid, but it's really handy to be able to shift into the bear form or the cat form or the travel form. If you're Night Fae, you have an additional ability to catapult you forward. So the add-on I'm using for this is called Bartender 4. If you install it, you will have like a little mug of ale in the sidebar, and we'll just go to a different profile that I haven't altered yet. So as you can see, the keys are still bound. That's because I also bound my Blizzard keys. I think they might... Oh, no, they're the same actually. But we'll just set it up from scratch and see what we end up with. So if you right-click on the bartender icon, it will show you the settings menu. If you left-click on the bartender icon, you will be able to move all the different bars. So the extra action bar is the ability you sometimes get during quests or boss fights if you get like a new ability. And then you can also see that the bars actually have numbers. So we have like 3 and 4 out here on the sidebar. And then we have bar 1, bar 5, and bar 6. And we have some other elements here that we can move out of the way as we please. So for now, we're going to lock them because we're going to right click on that icon and we're going to set some other settings first. So for example, for the Blizzard's art bar, we're going to disable that because that hides the pretty, although not always very useful action bar or background of the action bar that Blizzard gives us. So we don't, we lose some griffins, but we gain some additional space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to switch into cat. And when we then click on it, we can see, this is still bar 1. Okay, we have a status tracking bar that's like for our honor or for our XP and stuff like that. We're going to move that out of the way real quick. And then I need to check if I hit that key. So this is still bar 1. But I think the spells on that are actually on another action bar. So if we go ahead and enable all of these. So we have 7. If we enable 7, what is that? So we can see bar 7 as our cat bar. So we don't want to put bar 7 into our interface anywhere unless we want to see our cat spells all the time. So now that we have that figured out, bar 8. So bar 8 is the stealth cat state. So basically what happens when you go, I'm quickly going to lock these. What happens when you go into the cat form as the Druid is that it will switch your current action bar with all your spells out with the one that's up here. Let's just quickly do that. Cat bar, cat bar. Then if we hit the stealth button anywhere, we can see the stealth cat bar. So these are different action bars, and we kind of need to be a little bit aware of that because we don't want to kind of, let's say we didn't have any spells in this one. We don't just want to build that anywhere into our interface and then realize, oh, I actually wanted to put my healing potions there, but now my stealthed cat form just has my healing potions and stuff like that. So we want to stay clear of bars 7 and 8. And we're also going to disable them later on, but we'll just build an interface out of the other things that we have available. I'm quickly going to move my damage meters away so you can kind of stack menu stuff in the bottom right where it doesn't disturb us. Okay, so what I usually do is I try to keep my bars stacked so that I can put stuff on top of each other. So I have the normal keys. Quickly going to lock the bars again so you can see the key bindings correctly. so you can see the key bindings when you hover over them. So press escape to clear all bindings. Let's say we want to get rid of that. Then we would have to click that button. But we want to press circumflex. So that's the key that's next to my 1 key, which is very convenient because I can very easily find it. It's at the left of my keyboard. And then up to 5, I can get that with my fingers while walking and stuff like that. And then I actually switch the keys up a bit. I assigned R, Q, E, F, G, and X. So you can also assign things like C, but then that overrides your character screen and stuff like that. And then what I've done for this one, I've just hit Shift circumflex and Shift 1 and assigned that all the way through and kept them identical. So I don't have spells on all of these, but I usually assign the same spell categories to the same key binding. So for example, on the Monk, the Chi Torpedo is the Sprint on the Druid. And on the Paladin, it's the Crusader. So we get on the mount. Oh, I popped that to W. Okay. So basically that is kind of an important thing. For example, Q is the shield on my Discipline Priest and stuff like that. So you kind of have like a consistent set of things across characters. All right, let's show the bars again. So we have a pet bar. I don't actually often need a pet bar. I think I need the pet bar when I'm summoning a Celestial on my Monk. The next bar is going to be control. So these buttons are all bound with control plus the base key that I've assigned in the bottom row. One could also argue that I could stack them the other way around because then my cooldowns of my rotation, the ones that I use a lot, are closer to my view. I might actually give that a thought. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to show another bar as well, which I haven't used. So we can't use 7 or 8, but we can use 10. So 10 looks a little bit different. That's because that's not one of the default bars that is available. And I think it's the padding that is different. Let's see if that then looks the same. Oh no, that is too big. So they should stack up nicely when you're done with them. So you can kind of wiggle them up and down a little. They will snap to the bar below. And they will also snap to the center of your screen. Now you can also have them 2 rows, but I kind of like this. For me, it's kind of easy to get what's at the bottom of the screen, and then maybe if I'm unsure or I haven't perfectly mastered the key bindings in the top yet, I can still click on them with the mouse. Alright, so the status tracking bar, I actually put that all the way in the bottom as well, and then I just kind of moved whatever else I have slightly on top of that. You can kind of glitch them through, they kind of have a no clip, they snap very, very slightly. Right. Now bar 7 and bar 8 need to disappear again. I gotta say, disabled. Cool. Alright. So this is basically the setup that I mostly use. I think I use that on kind of all of my characters. I have like a shared preset. It's actually another good thing about Bartender, that you can have presets and profiles. So you have existing profiles. I'm just going to switch mine back to the server where I am. It looks slightly different. I think the stance bar moved a bit, but apart from that, it's completely the same. You also have the option to have spec-specific profiles. So let's say I need a lot of spells as a healer, but I only need 2 bars, for example, as a Feral Druid, because I don't care about my team and I don't want to give them any utility. Then I could just say, oh yeah, give me some spec-specific profiles, and I'm gonna set it up so I only have my rip and my rake buttons, or something like that. Obviously that's ridiculous, don't do that. That's basically how to set it up, and I think the tricky part for some people is to find the key bindings button, because they're like, oh, but the buttons don't have any key bindings, or how can I bind keys? It's just to click on key bindings, and then as soon as you hover any of these bars, you can see what they're currently bound to, and in the tooltip you can see all the buttons they're bound to. So for example, if you say, oh, I want to bind that button to F and to whatever, C, because maybe that's where you usually fumble your finger to, or F and G and stuff like that. Actually, the iPad keyboard does something similarly smart, where if you overreach from one side of the keyboard, if you have a split keyboard, it actually types the correct letter, even though that isn't there, technically. So you can totally do that. You can go completely crazy. You can scale these up and down. There's you're really only limited by your imagination. I wouldn't necessarily use Bartender to display your cooldowns. There's better weak auras for that. But you can certainly move the bars around and say, oh, bar 1 is really important to me. I want to make that really big. And also I need them right on top of my character. Which obviously we don't want. Because that's a bit silly. But that's basically some of the possibilities that you have. The stance bar can, for my sake, be a little bit smaller because I don't really use the stance bar. I kind of use the stance bar if I shift into something I never shift into, but usually I can just go travel form, bear, cat, and as soon as you hit a form again, you get out of it. Another thing I've done to stealth as a cat is I have circumflex bound to stealth, and then it shifts to my stealth bar with no way back, so I can't easily get out of the stealth by accident by pressing another key, but I can switch out of the shape again with Alt 2. And I still have some holes in this. I bet I will get some more trinkets, and if I play Boomkin Healer, I think I'll also have some more spells in here. But except for the fishing spell, these are all kind of like crowd control. I think that should actually, that belongs over there, the fishing rod over there or something. That obviously shouldn't be there when you raid. Yeah, that was like a very, very basic setup of Bartender. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and yeah, see you next time.